Minnesota, hail to thee. From majestic fields and valleys in the north, to the waters of mighty Lake Superior, to windmills and prairies in the west, beautiful rivers and bluffs in the south, to the skylines and landmarks of the Twin Cities. We are connected as one, now more than ever before. The heartbeat of this state. A beacon bright and clear. And even though we can't celebrate together today, we will never forget the places and people that made us who we are. To all who have worked so hard and accomplished so much. Firm, strong, united are we. As one Minnesota. Class of 2020. Hail to thee.
Graduates, commencement is a time the University of Minnesota greatly anticipates to celebrate your many accomplishments and your new beginnings, as well as to come together as a university community. We know our current circumstances have impacted how we do that. And as a mother of 2 students set to graduate this spring, I share in your disappointment, but also in anticipation for the day to come when we can all be together again. The last few months have certainly not been what most of us anticipated or hoped for. The pandemic we face grows increasingly frustrating for all of us as it poses new challenges and evolves every day. But as much as the new challenges we face today are unique, it's also important to know that they are not entirely unprecedented. Over a century ago, our university confronted the 1918 flu epidemic, which brought many new elements of uncertainty to our university community and even compelled the postponement of class openings. Nearly 3 decades later, the state of Minnesota experienced a polio outbreak that caused the cancellation of the Minnesota State Fair and delayed the start of school. These and other examples highlight how societal conditions have dramatically modified university activities over time. Yet throughout these challenges, students like you at all levels, undergraduate, graduate, and professional, have demonstrated the character, strength, and resiliency to ever reinforce our mission of discovery, learning, and service. All of you have further enhanced this legacy with your flexibility and understanding, commitment to the task at hand, and navigation of this disruption to earn the degree you have worked so hard to attain, while rising up during a time of great personal significance to put the health, safety, and well-being of others above all else. Your entire university family stands in appreciation and celebrates this once-in-a-lifetime experience that is truly unique to you all across the world today. But in the uniqueness of this moment and experience, and without diminishing in any way the fact that a great many among us are suffering, I challenge you to take one step further. As Franklin Roosevelt noted in 1932 at a commencement address at another university during the midst of the Great Depression, yours is not the task of making your way in the world, but the task of remaking the world which you will find before you. Graduates, history informs us time and time again of the great advances that have been achieved as a result of unforeseen difficulty or events. 4 centuries ago, During the bubonic Great Plague in 17th century England, Sir Isaac Newton spent the time away in isolation from his university studies, developing breakthrough theories on calculus, optics, and the laws of motion and gravity. 3 centuries later, Fortune 500 company Panasonic started out in Japan during the midst of the 1918 flu epidemic. Right here in Minnesota, the Mayo Clinic was established because there was an immediate need to recruit doctors in the aftermath of a tornado that struck Rochester, Minnesota in 1883. And Dayton's Dry Goods Company, which we now know as the Fortune 50 retail powerhouse Target, got its start navigating through an economic recession. Graduates, in your own lifetimes, Apple launched the iconic iPod in the wake of 9/11 and an economic downturn. And innovations like Airbnb, Venmo, Uber, and Instagram came out of the Great Recession. These examples remind us that with hardship comes opportunity for innovation. And as Stanford economist Paul Romer once noted, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. It can give you a fresh opportunity to do things you couldn't do before. Graduates, what could you not do before? Maybe for you, it's the next innovative startup or Fortune 500 company. Or maybe it's the next breakthrough in global health, climate change, or social justice. Whatever your next step, I hope you recognize the uniqueness of this time, the uniqueness of the experience you've had at the University of Minnesota, and the uniqueness of your own personal story, and how we're all counting on you, in the spirit of FDR, to remake the world which you will find before you. So graduates, good luck. Be healthy, be bold, be inspired, but always come home. We look forward to seeing and hearing all about the incredible things you'll accomplish in the days and years ahead. Hail to thee, class of 2020.
I want to congratulate the class of 2020. There's no question that your class experienced what none other has before it. There's also no question that this isn't the graduation you hoped for or the one you deserved. However, one key thing has not changed. You have earned your respective degrees that you have worked so hard for. No person and no situation can take that away from you. My name is Mike Kenyanya. I'm proud to serve as the student regent on our university's Board of Regents, and more importantly, I'm proud to be an alumnus of the class of 2019. On that note, allow me to draw from my experience as a recent grad and share a few things. First and foremost, wherever you are, pause, take a moment, and celebrate. You earned it. Nobody gave this to you. But at the same time, someone might have helped. I'm willing to bet that someone had your back, gave you a little nudge, listened to your problems, or called you out when they needed to. Give them a call. Tell them thank you. Do it now and do it always. As much as this milestone is about the past few years, commencement is really about the future ahead. While we mostly look at graduation as a culmination of our studies, to commence actually really means to begin. So as you commence on the next chapter of your life, wielding your education in one hand and your hopes and dreams in the other, I believe one has a duty. It could be a duty to your loved ones, a duty to your community, a duty to your faith, your discipline, could certainly be a duty to yourself. You decide. You decide what that duty is and how you'll execute it. But it is there. As you commence on the rest of your life, you're only beginning to learn. If you think you're done learning, congratulations, you played yourself. Lifelong learner. We've all heard the term before. I think Socrates said it best when he said, "To know is to know that you know nothing. That is the meaning of true knowledge." I try to remind myself of this every day. Mike, you know nothing. We owe ourselves this mindset. We owe it to our disciplines, we owe it to ourselves, and now more than ever, we owe it to our search for truth. I'm proud of you all. I'm proud of every Crookston Eagle, every Golden Gopher, every Morris Cougar, every Rochester Raptor, and every UMD Bulldog that is graduating this spring. I hope we all remember that collective duty we now carry along with our degrees. And I also hope we all live a life where we wake up every day and ask ourselves what the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called life's most persistent and urgent question. What are you doing for others? A question that's been answered by so many during this crisis. Welcome to the alumni family. You leaned on each other as students, and I hope we can continue to do so as alumni. Congratulations to the class of 2020. Hail to thee, class of 2020.
Hello, I'm CLA Professor Emeritus and former electrical engineering alum, John Wright. To you graduating scholars, in whose honor we are virtually connected today, alongside your families and friends, let me express on behalf of the faculty our heartiest congratulations on your commencing presence and your multiform achievements. To this ever-struggling, hard-pressed community of scholars, your presence has been and will continue to be, as Lewis Hyde affirms, a gift. In turn, the talent that first brought you here was a gift to you. Because of it, nonetheless, because you will continue to be gifted, we have great expectations for you. Educational psychologists have amassed a wealth of research about young and not so young people like you who are possessed of high ability. Research which shows that, in addition to recognizable superiority in languages, mathematical skills, music, sports, the arts, medicine, etc., you also show greater motivation and risk-taking, have higher expectations of self and of others. You have a higher capacity to question and think for yourselves, to solve problems, to respond to and create artistic beauty, and to understand your own intentions and will your own actions. You thrive on challenging intellectual and social endeavors where you are encouraged to experiment and to use your imagination. As we contemplate the world around us today, the world at home and the world abroad, rich with possibility, but now rife with pandemic, a world desperately in need of unity, but painfully divided by nation, by region, by race, by gender, by class. The importance of your gifts of imagination and will is undeniable, but also mysterious. The mystery, in part, is embodied in this nation's mystical motto, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. Or, as novelist Ralph Ellison put it, the mystery of how each of us, despite our origins in diverse regions, with our diverse racial, cultural, religious backgrounds, speaking our own idioms of the American language, in our own accents, each of us is, nevertheless, an emblem of that American riddle, that great constitutional dream book, a character in Ellison's Invisible Man calls it. More than a century and a half ago, back in 1855, when this university was in toddling clothes, amid the rising sectional tensions between the North and the South over slavery, and amid xenophobic nativist outcries against the flood of immigrants from Ireland, Germany, Italy, and other parts of Southern and Eastern Europe. We were also 10 years then into a nationwide cholera epidemic that was claiming tens of thousands of American lives annually. During that 1855 year, a gifted but as yet unknown young Brooklyn journalist and fledgling poet named Walt Whitman wrestled with his own uncertainties about slavery and the influx of aliens and the cholera pandemic as he meditated on a collection of etchings of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and tomb carvings that he saw in a New York library. So he composed what he first called a poem of wonder at the resurrection of the wheat, which he later titled This Compost. a poem inspired by the story of Osiris, Isis, and Set from the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead. Osiris was the mythical god king who ruled Kemet, the Black Land, or Egypt, as the Greeks called it, in ancient times. Osiris's brother Set, jealous of his power, killed Osiris by trapping him in a box and floating it down the Nile. Isis, who was both Osiris's sister and his wife, retrieved his body and brought it back to Egypt. Brother Set found it again, however, and tearing the body apart, scattered the limbs of Osiris across the land. In some versions of the story, Isis searched out and gathered those limbs, put the body of Osiris back together, and then lay with her inert husband to bring him back to life. In other versions, Sister Isis took the form of a bird and flew over the earth, seeking Osiris's body. When she found it, she beat her wings until they glowed with light and stirred up a life-giving breeze. And Osiris revived enough to make love with her, begetting their child, Horus. It's a story of envy, greed, and violence, of dismemberment and reunification, of death and loving renewal. And Osiris, god king of the Black Land, was typically painted not black or brown or white or red or yellow, as Egyptians ordinarily depicted their varied human types, but green, the color of blooming vegetation. Osiris, as such, represents the evergreen principle in nature, the gift of the gods to human beings. Osiris stands for what is broken, dismembered, decayed, diseased, yet returns to life with procreative power. His body is not just reassembled, it comes back green. Walt Whitman's strife-born poem returns us, with Osiris, to the mystery of how sweet green things can be made to grow out of diseased and decaying bodies. So, on behalf of the body of this faculty, which perhaps cannot claim to be a sweet green thing, but which most certainly believes that it is not yet utterly diseased or decaying, we welcome all of you to this technologically virtual but empathetically real celebration of your gifts and achievements, in the hope going forward that together we can, with imagination and will, help this community of scholars and the larger communities into which you will now move become, like Osiris, evergreen. Congratulations, class of 2020, and hail to thee, class of 2020. Hail to thee.
Congratulations, graduates 2020, the University of Minnesota. As an alumni of this great institution, now 45 years since I've been here, I've come to realize that this is a very special place, not just to have gone to school, but to call my home for the rest of my life. You have been through some very turbulent times over the past few weeks, and we have more turbulent weeks ahead of us. But one of the things that you've accomplished, besides graduating from this great institution, is understanding how to face adversity. And a long lifetime lesson, I can tell you, that by itself is a priceless gift. So as we march forward, remember several things. One, you are to be congratulated for getting through this tough time. Number two, it's time, if you haven't, to turn to your side, to the front, or get on the phone and thank the loved ones in your life, those who have supported you to get through. It has been should we say, a journey that was never done by you, just you. It was done by all of you. And also never forget, this will be your home. I can't imagine having gone through what we have, working in these months of this situation with COVID-19, not having had an academic home like this. Now, not all of you are going to go into academics. Not all of you are going to necessarily see yourself as being a lifetime academician. But I can promise you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this will be your home, that you will come back to many times. Again, congratulations, parents, loved ones, family members, and most of all, to the graduates of 2020. To class of 2020, hail to thee.
Greetings, graduates and families, faculty and staff, distinguished guests, everyone joining us from around the world. I am honored to preside at this commencement on behalf of the University of Minnesota Board of Regents. To the graduates, I extend congratulations. I know this is not how you envisioned your university commencement taking place, but today we honor your efforts and accomplishments with a celebration that brings us together virtually. Through your talent, hard work, and determination, you've earned this day of recognition. We not only celebrate your academic accomplishments, but also the potential you have to make a positive difference in the next stage of your lives. You'll be contributing to your communities, the state of Minnesota, the nation, and even the world. To all the family and friends joining us from near and far, thank you for the countless ways you've supported these students as they earned their academic degrees. In keeping with commencement tradition, will graduates please rise as they are able. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the Regents, I now confer upon you the degrees for which you have qualified. Congratulations. Hail to thee, class of 2020.